Hey everyone, Corey from AquariumCoop.com here to cry with all of you about guppies. It's true, basically all of my guppies are gone. Not all, but almost all. We took out 15 buckets of fish yesterday from the fish room, and it's quite empty. Still a lot of fish, but it is a lot emptier. Basically, did a lot of soul searching while in Maui, that type of thing, and figuring out what I want to do. And what I want to do is focus on the fish I'm really passionate about, which is African cichlids. So we're going to change the entire channel to African cichlids. No, I'm just kidding. But I did do a bit of soul searching and know that I want to keep fewer fish tanks, not fewer fish tanks, and focus more on what I want to do. So, I don't even know how many strains of guppy / endlers we had or have still, but let me walk around my fish room in my brain here.
Panda guppies.
Well, that's gonna make it harder, but I'm just gonna count the tanks. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Yeah, you don't
11,
have any
12,
guppies
13,
at all.
14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. I think there's 21 tanks of guppies.
You serious? Well,
Yeah.
now?
Not now.
Oh, before.
There was.
Yeah.
There was
Yes.
21 tanks of guppies. And so now, I know, so I still want to breed out some more of the best guppies in the world. So that one stayed. The German Berlin Buttercups, because I just got them, that stayed.
Mhm.
I don't know if anything else is staying.
You're not keeping panda guppies?
I love that tank a lot. But I'm trying to
It's
downsize.
my favorite guppy.
We're trying to downsize to what? 6 tanks? No, 8 tanks.
8 tanks.
Eight tanks in that room. Larger tanks, but only 8. So, yes, all the fish went to the store. So there's people right now gobbling them up. Some things haven't made it yet, like panda guppies. They're still near and dear to my heart. They haven't traveled there yet, but they are on the chopping block.
There are a lot of them, though.
There's
A
a lot
lot
of
of
them. Yeah, there's a lot of them. A lot of other fish went, teacup platies. A lot of stuff's moving, and it's mostly because we're gonna tear that whole room down, rebuild it, and build a better studio and do those types of things. Those are the things I want to focus on. I want to focus on. I really am enjoying the podcast, really enjoying working with Jimmy and Joel, and I want us all to be able to be on screen if we need to, a better workspace, all that. I'm enjoying that. What I wasn't enjoying is lots of small tanks. So when I really boiled it down to what is it that I need, it was larger tanks. And I was going to put in, and I even bought them. I've got a bunch of 29-gallon tanks. We're going to put a whole wall of 29-gallon tanks in so that I could do more videos about smaller tanks. Not that 29 gallons is small, but just smaller tanks. But then I realized I have no passion for it because I don't need it. Like, even when we tear all those tanks down, so we're going to tear over 50 tanks down in there, there's still over 100 aquariums I own at the store that are like 20-gallon tanks that are filled with fish that I love. So it's not like I won't be able to walk into the store and be like, let's learn about these. And what I am missing is I don't have... Like, before we put those 125s in, there was none. Like, I don't own any. And so, same thing with the 75s. There's one at the store. That was it. So, we're moving in that direction, keeping some plecos. I was going to get rid of is it 394s? 494?
Yeah, the Rio Paro.
Yeah. I was going to get rid of those.
And I started crying.
Started crying, essentially. So, you know. We're keeping them for now. But they're on the chopping block because I've only got 8 aquariums, and there's things like ladybird, the Mabu puffer, there's turtles, there's leopard frog plecos, there's L397s, I'm trying to think of what else like is on the must-stay list. I was pretty confident I have to keep 1 or 2 platy tanks at least. For some reason, I still love those.
You get 1.
I get 1. That's all I get. All right. You know. And then, so I got to find room for like the best guppies in the world and the German Berlin Buttercups. I think I can, breed them in the same tank as like leopard frog plecos and stuff like that. But other great fish left too, like my breeding colony of dwarf claro plecos, they're gone.
Yeah.
All the orange laser corridors, boom, gone.
Yeah, all your employees were like, okay, I want that one, that one, that one. When I was bringing the buckets over there.
There was a lot of fish that went in. And there's still a lot more to go in, but half the fun is choosing new fish, building new tanks, doing new designs, that type of thing. And I had fallen out of love with what was going on. There was plenty of colonies. Like, oh, look at this. I was making lots of fish, but I didn't care about them. So I'd be like, yeah, look, there's 150 red delta guppies. Yep. So I want to get back to where I get super excited when I'm like, oh my God, it had a baby. And that type of thing. Like even right now, there's like 8 more turtle eggs. Like it's getting out of control. Like they really got to get upsized. And so when we're done with the live stream, in fact, we're going to go back to tearing it down. So we're tearing down all the tanks. Everything's got to get out of the way because construction starts again on Monday. Like a literal construction, framing, that type of thing. We've been really working on infrastructure. I know I was on vacation, stuff like that, but like right now, you may not have noticed, but this should be in 2K. So it's a way higher resolution for you guys. And so if you're watching on a 4K TV, you're going, oh man, Corey looks extra good, extra clean today. But we put in brand new internet. We had them run a fiber optic line straight to this building. It bypasses my house, everything. Like the people were like, why? Why you don't want it to the house? Like, no, I want it strictly to this building. It's a dedicated line for what we're doing here, so nothing can interfere with it. Rebuilding the entire networks, that type of thing. So we're really going to give it 110%. Where'd my trout goodies go? They've been living outside still, just like the 2 strains of Japanese rice fish. The other strain went to the store.
Yeah.
Same, a lot of blue velvets went to the store, shrimp.
The Dovai went to the store.
Dovai went to the
Rob
store.
was like, what am I going to do with this?
Yeah, that's going to be a hard one to sell out of that store. Trying to think. Yeah, a lot of stuff. A lot of plecos. But yeah. I do love the blue panda. The blue pandas... the blue pandas haven't left yet, but... albino cribs, they're still in my possession. They're actually in my house.
Yeah, they're in the wife's tank.
Yep. So there's some things that, you guys haven't seen that tank yet. I'm way behind on it.
Yeah, we should film it.
We're going to film it soon.
Yeah.
I got plans and stuff like that. When can you see certain things in the store? I'm not committing to that at all. Because the minute I do that, people are going to be angry. Like you said, and I don't want to do that because for all I know, a tank's going to explode in 10 minutes and then be like, you said it was going to be there on Sunday. And I'm like, well, sorry. Like tomorrow I have to drive my grandma to a lunch party for her. So there's, I got stuff I got to do. You know how that goes. But I don't love guppies any less. A lot of people think, oh, Corey's just tired of guppies. No, I'm not tired of guppies. I was just tired of the way it's going. And, I still, while we're planning and everything like that, while we're actually planning the new room, I still want at least one tank to look like there's 1 billion guppies in it. Like that dream has never faded, and I don't think it's ever going to fade. And so that's
I think it'll happen by
the
the end of next year.
Yeah. I was considering doing it with Ladybird, kind of like I had at the store, but as I was doing some of the algae, she bit the crap out of the scraper.
She did?
Yeah, I just attacked it. So I was like, oh, maybe now with guppies, who knows? She's doing fine with the neon tetras that are with her.
Yeah.
But, she was...
she's not so chillax as Murphy.
Yeah. But smaller tank at the moment, too.
She always breaks water when I try to feed her to the shrimp.
Yeah. She's hungry. She's hungry. But yeah, so lots of changes going on. There's just, that's what I got to talk about. So I thought we could talk about guppies. We could talk about whatever you guys want to talk about. Someone said I need bigger fish in the tank behind me. Yeah, but that just takes time. Flagtail Procholotus 2 feet, Draft Cat 3 to 4 feet. There's 2 of them in there now. Like clown loaches, 1 foot plus. Like there's gonna be a lot of big fish in there. We just gotta wait for it. And I'm a patient man. I can wait. Like I don't mind waiting. I'm enjoying watching them grow, watching them eat, doing that. So. That being said, long term, this tank won't even be on like the live streams and stuff. Really, I mean, we'll do some shows probably from here, but most shows will be in the next room over, where we dedicate the entire you know, it's going to be quite the project. We're going to take you along, but literally we're building everything from the ground up, and then like all the lighting that's going to go in the ceiling and stuff. So we're going to put like can lights in, all that is going to be based on where the cameras are set up. So we have to set up, and then we're going to cut into the ceiling. We're going to do electrical work. We're going to do all these crazy things, but it should give, you know, a better look. And that's where I'm having fun currently. I'm having fun playing with cameras, working on stuff. That's where my fun level is at this exact moment. So that's what I'm pursuing while making content for you guys, because that's fun as well. So,
am I ever gonna get in the tank again? Possibly.
Yes.
He told me I might.
Yeah.
Like very soon.
Yeah, there's this. Where is it? Right there.
That rock pile
of rocks right there. I'm not convinced it needs to be there. I'm not sure it adds anything to the tank. When I look at it, I'm going,
It's just a home for the big clown loaches.
Yeah, there's some loaches and stuff back there, but it could come out as well. So I've thought about taking that out. Yeah, there's things in the pipeline. Like there's a guy that might have a line on an actual legal fly river turtle. And if that happens, that's going to go in that tank, which means all those plants will get eaten. So there's, you know, a lot of things that could or could not happen. And, you know, so it's in limbo. So, 48-inch stingray on a 33 long, would it be high light? I think so. Yeah. I mean, not like crazy high, but it's up there. It's only a foot tall tank. It's a really good light for that tank for sure.
Yeah, $5 super chat from
yeah,
Brendan's
that's from
life.
Brendan. Brendan's the one that sent me the Berlin Buttercups.
Okay.
So yes, I don't know if you just came in, Brendan, but out of the however many strains I said I had, those ones are still here because I do enjoy those, and I definitely want to keep them going. So, let's see here. 800 people are watching. Oh no. Speaking of which, I've heard your guys' comments where you're like, well, maybe not you guys because you guys are here, but there's a lot of people lately that have been emailing and stuff like that going, hey, how do I know when there's a live stream, or how do I get in on that? So you might have noticed when you came today that we're scheduled out for at least the rest of the year. So like there's the Christmas live stream, there's next Saturday, there's the New Year's one, there's all that kind of stuff scheduled out. So you guys can click the reminders and you'll know like, oh yeah, Christmas, 8 a.m. live stream happening. So that we can get a heads up there. And then we sent out an email today on the newsletter. If you haven't signed up for the newsletter, you might consider it. But the newsletter we're sending out when we go live now, an hour beforehand, for at least the Saturday ones. I want to see how people's responses to it. You know, if we go live at 11 o'clock at night, I don't want to spam people. So just trying to remind people because, you know, it's like that courtesy call. Time to wake up, Jimmy. You know.
Obviously, it's kind of working because you got 800 people in here.
I mean,
well,
maybe
that's the average.
I don't know if it's working because it's either like, oh my God, Corey's getting rid of guppies, we should watch that, or
it was a thumbnail.
The thumbnail was good. We did good on that thumbnail. I'm not gonna lie, I like that one.
So someone said, is it just gonna be 125s?
No, we're doing
75s. Right?
75s and 125s.
So what about all those 29 tanks you bought?
I just sell them at the store, I guess.
Okay.
I mean, I'm really trying to just focus in on like, what is it I want? Because when I let things cloud my judgment, where I'm like, well, but I already bought all those tanks. And what about like the 270 gallon? What about the 135?
Mm-hmm.
What about the 180? What about like, there's so many tanks and stuff. I start getting overwhelmed of like, oh, well, so now I'm just focusing on, I want to focus on like, what fish do I actually want to keep? Like there's a fish that is on the chopping block that I'm interested in but not interested in at the same time, the Pseudomilgil reticulatus. I haven't spawned them yet. I've been way too busy. They're sitting there. Yeah. They're rare. I paid good money for them. They're super cool. And yet if I don't do anything with them, that's just a problem. So someone's got buffering problems. Well, we are streaming at a higher thing, but if you're having buffering problems, that's your connection, or you're trying to watch it in too high of a resolution. So if your connection will only support 1080 and you're trying to watch it in 2K, you're going to have buffering.
Just go back to 1080.
You could even go down to 720, and on a lot of phones, you're only on 720, that type of thing. So it's on your, it's on your end, because on our end, it says our connection is banging. So Will there be a big sale for 100K subs? No. Nope. I mean, there might be like a
Almost there.
contest or something, but no big sale. The problem is there was Thanksgiving sale. There'll be a big sale on Christmas, that type of thing. So it's not gonna do anything. People are just gonna be like, yeah, stuff's always on sale, you know. This weekend we've got meds and dechlorinators on sale. We added some products, by the way. So if you use Meds 12, you save 12% off dechlorinators and medicines this weekend. We added API stress coat. Some people really love that, and so we added that to the website. We added this blue hat. This is a navy blue Aquarium Co-op hat, and the black ones are now in stock. So we have 2 different colors for you guys to choose from, and they are in stock. The Fluval color enhancing bug bites finally arrived, even though they were supposed to be back in our possession in October. Also, the turtle bug bites also came in. And then
how do you get the ornaments?
Yeah, the super sneaky ornament, which is the latest swag. We've got Aquarium Co-op ornaments that we have on the website. They're $6.99. You can buy one. Likely, and this is just a likely thing. So either A, you can buy one and use like a code, like podcast 10 or Aqua 10, save yourself 10% on whatever you're going to buy today, or you could use Meds 12, whatever. But likely next week there'll probably be some deal where it's like, spend this amount of money, get a free ornament. The ornaments weren't cheap. That's the problem. Is like, normally I'm like, buy anything and I'll send you this thing. But the ornaments were not cheap. And so it's going to have to be like, spend at least $50 and then I can send you an ornament or something like that. I got to figure out the logistics.
Ornaments in general are not cheap.
Right. And they're super cool and they're limited edition. Like my wife was bugging out. She's like, what? What? We have? Oh my God. So we've got one on our tree and there's not even that many. I want to say I only bought 150 of them. And that sounds like a lot, but for the amount of people that buy from us, that's not that many. And that still cost me a boatload of money. Like they weren't cheap. So yeah, what else? There's still going on the Easy Green shirt deal. So if you buy an Aquarium Co-op shirt, either the goldfish or the puffer shirt, and in the comment section you put free Easy Green please, you will get a 16-ounce bottle of Easy Green. That being said, we are getting a little bit low on Easy Green. The current calculations are we will run out for about 3 days, and then we'll be restocked with insane amounts again. But there is going to be about 3 days we will be sold out.
Nice.
At the current pace. So, Griffin's Aquatics says, I have 4 lamp eye tetras. Do I need to add more to get them to school? Merry Christmas. I would. The more you add, typically, the better schooling behavior you get, but that doesn't guarantee it. It could, sometimes adding a predator will help too. Like, oh God, that thing's going to eat me. Let's school together. So yeah. Where are all my fish? They're just acting all weird.
You know what's hilarious? Sometimes, during the nighttime, I see some of your clown loaches. They look like they're like dead, but they just lay over on their side.
Yeah,
it's so weird looking.
When they get really big, they'll just lay or upside down.
I'm like, are you dead? I get up close and they'll just zoom away.
Yeah,
it's so funny.
You've apparently never owned clown loaches.
Nah.
Yeah, that's
definitely lazy fishes. So Island Queen says, don't forget to sub to Jimmy Aquarium Co-op for live streams also. So we changed the name for that.
So that's a good point. We actually, Jimmy of Aquarium Co-op no longer exists. He's been fired and shipped somewhere. But it is now the Real Fish Talk. We basically, more reflection of like, let's just make content for the main channel. For a while, it was Jimmy was going to make his own video for that channel every week. Just wasn't happening. And he's making stuff for his channel because that's the cinematic stuff he wants to be doing. So instead of me forcing him to either make a fish video on Jimmy of Aquarium Coop channel, I said, why not let's just change it to Real Fish Talk. We'll do all our Real Fish Talk podcasts there, and we'll put other long format content there, and we'll keep this channel, kind of talking about fish, mostly centered around me and Jimmy, I suppose. I don't know that it's necessarily centered, but so it's its own little entity now. It's getting some branding, and we're working on it, and we'll really be putting some attention to it when the new studio launches and stuff like that. Basically, the studio is for that channel, so we're gonna invest probably $20,000 at this point to make that channel work. So, but at the end of the day, it just comes down to you're going to hear my voice and see me 5 or 6 times a week, like you always have. So it's just a way for people to go, oh, I do like that or don't like that, and then not anger the YouTube gods. So let's see here. Giant heads and hats. I have a giant head. I wear a 7 3/4, which when you walk into a hat store, typically they go, we don't have hats that big. This Flex Fit hat, obviously I'm wearing it. You got to stretch them out a little bit. Like I want to say they fit like 7 1/4 or 7 1/2 pretty comfortably. At 7 3/4 is a bit much. But Flex Fit does not make any hats that are larger. You'd have to have custom made hats, and even at that, they only go up to about 8 1/4. It gets really hard to get hats that are super big. So, fake name hates Apple and iPods. This sounds good. I mean, all of our podcast stuff is on every platform on the planet. So
Yeah.
choose how you
Android,
want to watch
Apple.
it. Yeah, we have our own apps. It's on
PC.
iHeartRadio. We submitted it to Spotify the other day. It is literally everywhere. So pick a poison you do enjoy, and yeah. Any Balbitis coming in soon? I hope. I order 100 of them every week. They're just not shipping them. That's right. My glass has bubbles on it. A Pisto shirt's still in the works? Well, I don't know that I could say still, because I haven't started on it at all. So I would say no. Hoodies are, though. Hoodies should be in next week. They're going to cost like $1 million, but they'll be here.
Yeah.
Hoodies are not cheap.
Yeah.
Good quality hoodies are not cheap. And I don't want to make garbage.
They're zip-up hoodies. They're not.
They are zip up.
Yeah.
And they're going to be fleece, I'm told.
Fleece?
Yeah.
I might want one now.
Yeah, that's the problem. Is like people are like, just go make that thing, and it's like, well, but I can't make it super crappy. So then it costs a lot of money for me. So
Miguel Cinco with a $5 super chat, grabbing 10 filamentosa barbs. Any advice on care?
I myself haven't kept them in my own aquarium, but I would treat them, if I was going to keep them, like mascara barbs or maybe even like tinfoil barbs. They're going to be super active while eating, be pretty rambunctious, and I wouldn't put them with slow-moving fish. Like I probably wouldn't keep them with angels and that kind of stuff. I would keep them with more like bala sharks, blood parrots, giant danios, maybe even like Oscars, like just other stuff that can take that, like, oh my god, these things are super active all the time type of deal. So yeah, because they're going to dominate food. Yeah, so keep other stuff that can compete with them and not be like, oh, mosey on over, oh, there's no food left type of deal. What's the difference between Ultimate and Prime? Which do I like better and why? I myself like Ultimate. Ultimate has stress coat in it, so that's one thing that Prime doesn't have. It also has alkalinity buffer. That's another thing Prime doesn't have. But other than those two, they're basically the same. So Ultimate has a few extra things. Prime doesn't have those extra things. What's the difference, though? Ultimate, a bottle, 16-ounce bottle, treats like 940 gallons, I think off the top of my head. And then like a 16-ounce bottle of Prime treats like 5,000 gallons. So because you don't need the stress coat and the alkalinity buffer in there, you can make it way more concentrated. So if you're going purely on a gallons dechlorinated to penny ratio, Prime wins. That being said, I do find value in the aloe vera that's in Ultimate and the buffering capacity, especially in my water. Now, if I lived in liquid rock water, I might have more of a bias towards Prime. But it also depends on how you're running your aquariums. If you're running a lot of carbon or Purigen and stuff like that, you would not want Ultimate, because that stress coat is going to end up clogging up carbon and Purigen and stuff. So then Prime makes more sense. So really, they're different products that it depends on what you need in your environment. You know, maybe your tap water, how you're running your tanks. Like I run Planet tanks. I don't run any Purigen or carbon. And so I don't have any problems with stress coat. It's only beneficial for me in that application. So, yeah. What else we got? What are $5 super chat from DJ Pride? What are good affordable fish to pair with guppies? I have a 36-gallon bow front. My friend wants to see larger fish in my tank. So a larger fish that won't eat guppies. You could do a bristlenose plecostomus. Not that they're going to be out and about all the time. I'd be tempted to try something like maybe a pearl gourami. Find one that's not too aggro. Most of them aren't. What else? What have we had with guppies that swims around? Most times I'm trying to breed them so hard that I don't have anything with them. I know there's gotta be other stuff. Like you could probably do like a platy, that type of thing, but you can do a betta. I do it all the time.
You have
They just
small
eat the fry.
corredoras all the time.
Yeah, but he
Like-
wants a big fish.
He wants a big fish.
So it's gotta be something bigger than a guppy. I do bettas. It's a little bit.
You have to find the right
You
betta.
gotta find the right one, but I do it all the time. And they eat a lot of the fry though, which is kind of a good thing sometimes. Rainbow fish, you could probably get away with like dwarf neon rainbows.
Yeah.
I don't know that I wouldn't go with like bozemanii and stuff like that. So
Is there anything you want to look for in a power drill or for drilling a glass tank? Like, do you need a reasonably good one or any one would do?
pretty much anyone. Yeah, I don't think there's. You wouldn't want something like crazy heavy, and you also wouldn't want like a hammer drill, but like most run-of-the-mill drills work just fine. Palm Squalado with the 10-pound super chat. Thank you. Any thoughts on Kevin Novak's comments on Mulm directed at you in the co-op? I have no idea. I haven't seen that video. So, the first I've heard of it.
They want you to dress up as Santa and they want me to dress up as an elf.
We'll make you sit on that shelf. So you can be the elf on a shelf. Do I have any more of the flagtails for the 800? I don't. I think we have some in stock at the store, but I've always run them solo because I don't want that many fish that look like that to jam up my tanks. I don't have, like, if I had like 10, 12,000 gallons, I'd do a school of them, but I don't think I can really house a school appropriately of flagtails. So, is there a story behind the development of Easy Green? Yeah, it's basically me sitting there going, I think the industry is retarded. And then I go, everyone on the internet says it can't be done. And then I did it. And then everyone goes, hey, that sells really well. We're all going to do it now too. That's the story. That literally is the story. I'm like, I don't get it. I don't understand. I do this all the time. I dose all the ferts at the same time. It works great for my tanks. Nope, nope, you can't do that. Nope, you can't do that. No. And then I go, all right, well, I do it and it works great. And then I contact manufacturers like, nope, you can't do that. Nope. And I go, how about I just pay you to put it in the bottle? And they're like, well, okay, we'll do whatever you're going to say if you're going to pay us money, but we think you're not doing it right. And then after I do it, guess what? Everyone's doing it, and it sells better than anything else out there. And it's, I don't know what to tell people other than, like, I developed it because I was like, hey, this works awesome for me. I dose all my ferts at the same time. It works super awesome. And then I go, man, I should just put this all in the same bottle. And there's a few things you have to change. Like, you have to change which type of iron you're using. You have to make sure you're using the correct pHs. You have to mix them in the correct order. There are things you need to do to optimize it. That being said, in this hobby, we get way too focused on, but that wouldn't be optimal versus doing what's practical. So there's a lot of people that will, like, dechlorinate every bucket of water before they pour it into their tank because that's optimal. The reality is I just give a squirt without even measuring it and filling it up, and I've never had a problem with hundreds of tanks over 12 years, ever. Not once, ever. And that includes, at this store where there's 300 plus tanks, in my own store, that type of thing. So it gets into one of those things that we love to be, but that's not quite as efficient. I could save, it's one of those things like a nickel's holding up a dime. You're like, well, you're wasting a nickel. But yeah, but I also saved myself 20 minutes and then I went and found $1 on the sidewalk. So it's like, it's one of those weird things. So But the goal was making aquarium plants easy for most people. And what I saw was happening is they would buy plants and then they would die. And they would buy one thing off a shelf that had a plant on it. They'd be like, well, API leaf zone, it's got a picture of a plant. I put that in my tank. And it's like, well, it has almost nothing in it when it comes to actually making a plant grow. And then there'd be people like, well, I have Flourish Excel. Why are my plants excelling? Because it's not fertilizer. That's why. So, and then you get people like, well, I bought Flourish Comprehensive. It says comprehensive, but it's not really comprehensive. It's got, it's like you go to the store and you fill up a cart full of groceries and you get home and then someone's like, great, I want you to make me salmon linguine. And you're like, well, I bought nacho stuff. I bought barbecue stuff. I bought some soda. I bought some tater tots. And, yeah, they're all groceries, but they're not in the quantities you need to do what you're actually trying to do. And in my opinion, it was a giant scam of like, well, what's going to happen is they're going to buy a $10 bottle of stuff. Then their plants aren't going to grow. They're going to go back to a store, and the store's going to go, well, you need another bottle of $10 stuff. And then they're going to go back to a store, and they're going to need another 10 bottle of stuff. And pretty soon, you've got Seachem's whole line. You've got 7 bottles of stuff. And now you're just dosing, and you can't dose them on the same day, and they got to make it all difficult. Or you could use something like Easy Green, or Thrive, or Vital, or Tropica's Blend, or... I mean, there's lots of all-in-one blends now, and it's because the industry was holding people back for money, not because it couldn't be done. That was the mantra. That was, no, we can't do it. And that's what, science nerds would say, and then everyone did it, and now it's like a known thing. So that's the story on how it came about. I was just willing to throw my money down a hole because I was certain it was going to work because I was already doing it. So, and that came from my own days. This is from my own days of me doing EI dosing back as a hobbyist and then going, that seems like too much work. I'm just going to mix micros, macros, and plant XB all in the same bottle and dose it out. And then all my aquariums did really well, even though the internet collectively said, you're dumb and that doesn't work. But my plants said, we'll just grow. Is that all right? And people love to buy my plants, so proof's in the pudding.
And that is your aquarium co-op rant for the day.
Yes. Robin Henson with the $10 super chat. I need help. I have a large red devil cichlid. It's acting very lethargic. The belly's sinking in. What could it be? I've had her for quite a while and don't really want to lose her. So first, know there could be like 20 different things. All right, we're going to focus on what I think is probably most likely. The easiest thing I would try first is deworming it. Something like a General Cure or a Praziquantel, Prazipro. Hit it with a mild dewormer. See if that's causing some problems. The other thing is, so we know the fish is lethargic, but do we know if it's still eating? If it's still eating, I would soak whatever it does eat in like some Vitachem, which is basically liquid vitamins. It'll help bolster that immune system to hopefully combat whatever we're going to be combating. We don't know what we're combating yet. So when a belly starts sinking in, either A, they already stopped eating, or if they're still eating, usually that's an internal tapeworm or something like that. But when fish are lethargic, I really focus in on the environment too. Let's make sure the pH hasn't dropped. Let's make sure hardness isn't like crazy hard. Let's make sure that water temperature is correct. A lot of people forget about that one. They go, well, I checked my heater was fine a month ago. Well, it could break, So I would really make sure the environment is set up to be doing well. Make sure that no one else is dominating it. So if it comes out of its cave and then another fish goes, get back in the cave every time, it might be losing weight because it's not getting its fair share of food. But that's what I would focus on. Really make sure that environment is set up for it to thrive, and really look it over. Like, even though you go, well, I haven't had ammonia in 10 years. Just make sure you don't have ammonia. Just make sure it's a game of what can I eliminate? Eliminate as many things as you can, and then deworm, and then you go, okay, well, it's probably not internal tapeworms. And then you get into things where you're like, okay, I covered all of those. It can be really common in big Central and South American cichlids if some of your equipment is putting off stray current in the water. You might need to use something like a grounding probe. You can have stuff like that going on. But that's like 2% of the time, whereas like internal tapeworms is like 80% of the time. And then let's say aggression/tank environment is 20%. Not well, that's now 102%, but 18% of the time. So go with the biggest percentages, and a lot of times you go, oh yeah, it was internal tapeworms, and pH was a little bit down, and it'll be a little combination of a lot of those things. And by kind of tweaking all of them, you'll get it so that, oh man, she's back like she used to be, happy, loving life, color's great, doing all that. Also, the other thing, make sure your food is fresh. I've watched a lot of people that are like, well, I bought the Costco size bag of pellets and I've been feeding on it for 2 years, and the bottom half of the thing is kind of all rancid, and that can actually be giving them intestinal problems. So make sure that's on the up and up as well. Andy Cowell, the $5 super chat. Thank you, Andy. What else we got? How's the renovation of the fish room coming on? We're just getting started.
Yep.
I mean, we got that one wall built, but so all the tanks coming down, then they're going back up. Everything custom, everything being done right, and we'll, like, how long is it going to take to do? Depends on how long it takes to get the money. Like, we got to take it in stages. It's an expensive project, and we're going to run into things that we're going to go, oh, how do we fix that? Oh, okay. I've been looking at commercial carpet, for instance. I kind of want to put carpet down because I love the carpet I have at my store. And people go, water and carpet, that doesn't make any sense. Commercial carpet is rad in my fish store. I love it. It gets wet, it dries, no one slips. It's quiet, it's nice to roll your chair along. Like, there's all these perks to it. I really do like it. So I've been looking to, like, where can I buy some ultra cheap remnants that don't look like garbage? I don't want a dead body on there. I just want to be like, oh yeah, sweet. It's bowling alley blue or something.
Kyle's Wild World, $5 super chat. Corey, have you seen a case of fish TB, and have you ever seen it transfer to a human? Just curious as how present it is in the hobby.
Yeah, I see it all the time. It's pretty common, actually. It just doesn't get diagnosed. Fish die, and people are like, I don't know. Well, what I find funny is on the internet, everything is ick. Like, that fish can get bit in half by a puffer, and like, yep, that thing's got ick. So TB is fairly prevalent. It's really prevalent in like rainbow fish and some other things. I myself have never seen a case like of anyone I know or anything like that where it transferred. I've never seen any disease transfer from fish to human from anyone I actually have ever met in person. I'm not saying that has never happened. I'm just saying the media gets a hold of it and is like, oh my God, this guy got, guppy something. I can't think of it. I was trying to think of something funny, but it failed horribly. But I've never met anyone. I'm not saying it hasn't happened. I just haven't met him yet. And so I think it's exceedingly rare in comparison to the coverage it gets. That being said, of a professional opinion, it's always like, by all means, make sure you put on a full hazmat suit before you do a water change. Like, I don't want to be the guy like, you told me it was safe, and now I got guppy ringworm, or whatever, So take caution where caution is necessary, especially if you have an immune system that's compromised, that type of thing. But from all the employees I've ever worked with in a fish store, all the wholesalers I've ever worked with, basically everyone I've ever worked with, I've never even heard of like, oh yeah, you didn't hear that blah 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 caught, whatever. So yeah, I've only ever seen a select few articles online about something like that, and I think it's a corner case. So yeah. Can you do a betta sorority? I will never do one because I think they're a train wreck, but other people can. I watch it all the time when people set them up and then they're like, I don't get it. It ain't working. And at the end of the day, it's female bettas are still territorial like male bettas, and they're like African cichlids, essentially. They just, and the problem I find is not that the bettas kill each other, it's that they become egg-bound. They just get egg-bound over time. They eat ravenously, and there's no one to really work with those females to get those eggs out, and it's just a thing over time of like, yep, there we go. There's another one that dropped off from being egg-bound after month 17. So,
Baron Demir, what fish would you recommend for a minimum of 35 degrees in the winter and maximum of 105 in the summer? I like to overwinter and breed them too. That's pretty.
So
Extreme.
if that's water temperature, there's like nothing. Now, if it's outside temperature, you can work with it. I would try rosy barbs. I would try rosy red minnows. I would try white clouds. I would try maybe zebra danios, Japanese rice fish. But at 105 water temperature, the only things that I really know that'll live are like the Soda Lake cichlids and stuff like that. But they definitely won't live down at 35. So I'm assuming that's air temperature, which probably puts you could probably keep it to at least 80 or below if you were trying to. You could like have a fan on the pond, and that would cool it down at night at least, and you could have it kind of hold that water temperature during the day. So I would try all of those things. Maybe Florida flagfish. Yeah, that's what I can think of off the top of my head easily.
Robert Fletcher, what community fish would be good for open top tanks?
Lots of tetras and stuff. I mean, there's always a chance something's going to jump, but I wouldn't do killifish, hatchetfish, ropefish, eels, butterfly fish. Anything that really hangs up at the top is a threat to jump. And, yeah, eels are one that like to get out of a tank. Reedfish or ropefish like to get out of a tank. Arowanas, that kind of stuff, definitely jumpers. So...
We will definitely be filming the process of doing the remodel.
We've already started, so
Yeah, so
yep.
don't worry.
Time lapse and all those types of things. Do you think it's a good idea to occasionally deworm guppies as prevention? Ones you've had for a while? I personally don't. You could, like discus people do that. My goal is to get stuff clean and then keep it clean. So I do it at the beginning when I'm confident they are clean and I'm not introducing other things. I can remain fairly confident they are clean. There are ways stuff could technically come in through the water. Live blackworms could do it. Live daphnia, live mosquito larvae. There are ways to contaminate something that's already, clean. But I wouldn't I wouldn't use the meds and put them through that unless I suspected something was wrong. If you suspect something is wrong, definitely treat. But if it's just like, well, today's Wednesday, and I was bored, and I was thinking, maybe I should treat those things. That we might skip, yeah.
Can you grow jungle val in sand?
Yes. It's harder to do, but you can totally do it. Andy Cal with the $5 super chat. Thank you, Andy.
Thank you again.
Palm Squaldo, £2. Thank you. And Roger Martinez, how do I kill staghorn without chemicals? I don't think you're going to be able to kill it without chemicals. I think you got to eat it. So you got to use things like Florida flagfish, maybe some ravenous mollies, maybe some juvenile Siamese algae eaters. Word through the grapevine is that pandagaras are magical when it comes to eating hair algae and stuff like that. I haven't tested it yet, but I am chomping at the bit to test that. But I think it's make the environment less suitable for those algae and then get something eaten on it. Because without using chemicals, that's really the only options you got besides like manual removal, eat it, and make it so it's harder to grow. Have I heard about anoxic filtration? Any opinions? He can't quite get the message to the payment. I've seen like stuff on anoxic filtration. Yes. So have I heard about it? Yes. Any opinions? I mean, the ways I've seen people doing it, like Kevin Novak and stuff like that, he's done some of that stuff. It's just one of those things I don't think is practical for the average aquarist. So it's kind of like saying, like, why not do ozone? Why not do, why don't most people do 300-gallon sumps? Because their tank's not larger than 300 gallons. I would think if you were going to travel down the rabbit hole of anoxic filtration, you'd be way easier going with an algae scrubber. Like, that's just an easier thing to build, a more efficient thing, and it will literally scrub out everything. So at that point, you're taking out nitrogen, but you're also taking out heavy metals, toxins. Like plants are the best filter on the planet, and algae, you can grow them ridiculously quick. You can build them very cheaply and easily. They take servicing, but hey, so does everything. I would, if I was trying to scrub stuff out of my water, I would do it with algae through, I can't even remember what I was calling it. Algae scrubber, yeah. Phew, my brain. Not working today.
A lot of people want to know how the giraffe cat's doing.
He's hiding.
Haven't seen him in a day or two.
I think I see it. No, that was a
But
clown
he
loach.
has been making work of the sand, you can tell.
Yeah, so there's lots of like depressions and clear parts. So he comes out and from keeping giraffe cats in the past, what I found was they're super shy until they hit about 18 inches. And then they're just always out and about. Well, no, they'll be on the glass and swimming around, and they're just like, look at me, I'm huge. But right now, they're going, well, I'm only this big. What if something comes by and eats me? They don't really realize they're the biggest thing in the tank. So it's a maturity thing.
Okay.
So, you kind of feed them.
Do they grow fairly fast?
They can, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's getting food to them and that type of thing. And it's one of those things that I've grown a giraffe cat fast, and then now that I've done it, I have no intentions of trying to grow one fast, because like in 3 months, if we have an 18-inch giraffe cat, that's just even more of a problem. Whereas like if it's like, oh, now he's 13 inches instead of 10, okay, yeah. So I'm not trying to power feed that mojo, because they eat a lot. They are it's like it's like eating Cheetos with a vacuum cleaner. Like just put it in the bag and it's gone. That's how they eat. So, it's they're a cool fish, though. I love it. And now we got 2 of them, so.
So, Halvor Olsen with the NOK, never seen that one before. $20. How can I grow hair algae quickly? I've never heard that question before either.
How can you grow it quickly for hair algae? How would I do it? Here's how I would probably do it. I would get some river stones, and I would fill like a trough or a bucket or a tote outside with aquarium water. I would put the stones in there. I'd let them sit for a week or two. Eventually, they're going to grow some algae and green water and gunk and that kind of stuff. Then I would take those. You kind of see where I'm going. You see this at rivers typically. Then I would take one of those and put it in the tank, and I would have an extended photo period, which is fancy words for leave your lights on for like 16 hours a day. You'll start growing a lot of hair algae that way. So once you get it started and the fish aren't pecking at it, you get it kind of growing long, then you transfer to the other tank, give it some fertilizer, give it some light, and boom, there we go.
Shadow Gamer. Having an issue with tiger barbs, keep dying one by one, but a platy and mollies are fine. Water parameters are all tested good. Water change frequently.
If I had to guess, you probably need more tiger barbs. They can really pick on each other. That's my first guess. So, one, I consider the bare minimum of tiger barbs really to be like 13. But I want to finish answering your question, because let's say you've got like 300 of them. Like clearly that's not the problem. It could be a food thing too, bullying. Like if they're not attacking it, it's just not getting a chance to eat. And then, as always, make sure you've done some quarantine. They've been dewormed. They've done all those good things anyways. So do we test water at the store? Definitely. It's always free testing.
Daryl Deemer with a $20 super chat.
Man, I saw him here earlier and I was gonna go, Big D's here, but I didn't want to like make him donate. And so now that he's donated, Big D is here.
He is here.
Always offering the infinite support, helping us keep us going, brings a smile to my face every time I live stream, pretty much.
Yep, every time.
Jared Byer, best foods for a tank with chili rasboras, cherry shrimps, nerite snails, and some pest snails. In my opinion, frozen foods, I would do frozen Daphnia, frozen baby brine, and frozen cyclops. If you went between those 3, you would have the happiest tank alive. That's what I really feed all of our nanofish at the store. It works super good. If you wanted to one-up it, hatch live brine shrimp on top of that.
Oh, yeah.
All right. We got another super chat here from Brad Warner. Been watching you for a couple years. Thanks for all your help. And Jimmy is a great role model for this hobby. here is $10 for the hours of content of yours I have watched. Well, thank you so much. I do appreciate that. That's how we keep it going.
Thanks, Brad.
Let's see. Is Kevin Novak a whack or no? I have no idea. I've watched, I think, in total, about 9 minutes of his content. From what I
What's
consider...
his channel name?
I think it's Kevin Novak.
Oh. I don't know who that is.
Or Norvac. From what I can surmise from thumbnails and the 9 minutes which I have watched, I think he builds lots of cool filtration things, more as like a demonstration of like, look what could be done, not so much look at what's practical. So in a different realm, it's like, let's say you got that guy down the street that can build a car out of spare parts, and he's super good at that. And then he's like, I don't get it. Why doesn't everyone just build their own cars? Like, you can build a car for $1,200. And then you've got like me, where it's like, well, I know nothing about cars. So that's why it makes sense for me to spend $20,000 on a car. And I think that and this is a very limited thing, from my very short, narrow window into that, is kind of like that. Kevin seems super smart, seems like he's been in the hobby a very long time, and can do a whole bunch of stuff, but then conveys like well, I don't get it. You've been in the hobby for 4 minutes. Like, why don't you just build this crazy thing? Like, well, because they don't understand how ammonia works yet. You know, like that's my thing, is he does a lot of cool things that I can see. I'm like, oh, that's interesting. You don't see many people make a video on that. But at the same time, I'm not sure how applicable it is to most people's setups. So
I think we hit a record for how many people are in here.
Really?
There was a peak concurrent of 950, but right now we're 931.
Whoa.
Yeah. Something's going on. Something's going on.
Something's going on.
And we haven't had to ban anybody yet. So
all right.
That's what I'm talking about.
Jeannie Friedman, $20 super chat. Thank you, Jeannie.
Thank you, Jeannie.
I appreciate that. I don't know that I've seen your name before, so
Yeah,
I don't know
I've
if
never
you're just
seen
a
that name
lurker.
before.
And if you're like the most active person ever and I don't know your name, now I feel ultra bad, so I apologize for that. But usually, you know, I can visualize most people because I read a lot of comments. I read a lot of stuff. So, yeah, thank you.
How old are you?
Hillary Blinton got banned.
Oh. Right. Spoke too soon.
Yep.
But how old are your oldest musk turtles?
The oldest ones I have, probably 9. I got it when it was already older. So, like, I don't know for sure the actual age. I have to sneeze.
How long do we go live for? We go live for about an hour. So,
yeah, we try to keep it so that the replay actually happens. If we go hours, then people are like, oh, that's too long to even dive into. So we go for an hour. Plus, I literally have to break that at least one wall of tanks down. If one wall of tanks doesn't get broken down, Monday's not happening. So we have to get it done. It's not a you know, hope to get done. It's a gotta.
And I want to get it done, so I have a day off tomorrow.
Right. We agreed that if we don't get it done today and we're ultra lazy, which we're not going to
do it tomorrow.
We're going to do it tomorrow, and then he could have Monday off.
Yeah,
but
so.
really, we just need to get it done today. Does us no good to put stuff off. So, yeah, a lot of shirts. I do want to do a lot more shirts. I'm ready to hire more people. I need like
an animation artist or something.
Maybe, I don't know. A t-shirt artist, not an artist. Someone who's made lots of t-shirts and knows how many screens we're going to use per shirt, that type of thing. Not just like, well, I could draw you something that would look really cool. Like, yeah, but that's going to be 27 different screens. That's going to cost $1 million. So I need someone who's really adept at that. We also need, I would love to hire someone to write us newsletters. So if you're fish knowledgeable and you can convey yourself in a manner which other people want to read, and you can come up with topics. Like, I don't want to have to be like sometimes people are like, yeah, I could totally do that. So you go ahead and write the article, and then I'll proofread it. And I'm like, nope, you have to write the article. You have to go, today I'm writing about corridoras, and then tomorrow I'm writing about guppies, and then the next day I'm writing about gobies, and then after that I'm writing about filtration. You got to create the content and churn it out, because if I've got to think of the topics, I may as well just write it out. So that's the thing. And, you know, and I don't know how much it's going to pay. I don't know what you're going to be willing to do. I don't know how many we're going to send out. I don't know all those things. So far, it's never worked out. Either A, people have wanted to do it, and then they're not capable of doing it, or the people that are capable of doing it wanted insane money. Like last time someone was serious for like, sweet, I could do one on a monthly, we're talking $3,000-$4,000. And I'm like, that's laughable.
Yeah.
Like, I can just hand people money at that point. Like, how about you? Like, here's an email, $5 if you open it up, type of deal. So, you know, like it needs to be, you know, like, oh, you actually want to help, and the guy didn't know much about fish, so he's like, he wanted me. So that guy wanted me to get one of my employees to write all the content, and then he would draft the newsletter. And I'm like, you don't get it. For $4,000, you know, you're doing all the work. And which I would never dedicate that much resources to the newsletter. Like $4,000 is a crazy amount of money. Like, I'm not doing that. So don't get that in your head. But if you want to work on a project like that and you know, be a part of that team, because we're sending out to like 15,000 people at this point. So quite a few people read that newsletter, and we could really change. Not change. I don't want to say change. We could really educate. You know, that's the goal there. So Clint Bainter. I could watch fish room videos for hours, keep doing what you're doing. We definitely are. We're trying to make sure that we stay involved as well. Like that's a variable a lot of people don't get, is that if we're not interested, it's really hard to get out of bed and make a video. You know, so we have to change it up. We got to keep it fresh. You know, like, yeah, we could film in that room every single day, and you guys might love it, but we're in that room every single day. So it's one of those, like, we have to be passionate about it too. Otherwise, you're dreading your work and you're no longer working your passion. So by reinvigorating, changing things, like, why I don't get it. Why does Corey like the podcast so much? Because I haven't done the podcast for 2 years straight at this point. I've done YouTube for 2 years. Podcast, new, fresh, exciting. I get to have a co-host. I get to do all these cool things. We're doing, you know, it's like, it's the dream of like, hey, this is gonna be cooler. So that's the fun part. Shout out to the mods from Barbara Jackson. They must be super busy today. Thanks for all they do. Indeed. We have lots of volunteers. Candy is here on a regular basis. We have Nightbot. We have Nisi. We have Glass Boxes.
Here.
We have Flynn. We have, who's probably not here at the moment, but we have Danny's Aquariums.
Mm-hmm.
Who else do we have on a regular? I mean, I know there's lots of mods, so if I'm not naming you right now, it's because my brain is skipping you. There's Laura.
Kevin.
There's Kevin. Yep. KG Cichlids. There's probably even like Corvus Ocean. There's lots of people. Steenfod Aquatics. Like, there's a lot. And that's the help, you know. And I try to help on other people's channels. Like, if I'm sitting there and someone's just being a troll, well, I'll be the bad guy. They can go troll somewhere else, you know. So yeah, thank you to everyone that does help. I try to help as much as I can, and I think that's hopefully the infectious thing. If people genuinely believe I'm trying to help, then if they help me help more people, their effect is amplified, you know. So like if a true celebrity all of a sudden was like, man, I like what Corey's doing, I'm going to help him amplify, all of a sudden we would amplify even more. So that's just the goal, is that, you know, you could be someone in the middle of nowhere sitting on a laptop on your couch, and all of a sudden your newsletter is being read by 15,000 people on your thoughts on algae scrubbers, you know.
So Kyle's got a good question here. I would
Does he?
I would love to donate a newsletter from time to time. Would a guest newsletter authors be welcome?
Yes. So I'm not sure how it would work, but for sure you can be a guest author on the blog, and that would be super easy for me to, like, oh yeah, we'll put it on the blog, and then I'll kind of cut and paste and put that into a newsletter, and that would be super cool. That's something that it's on the back of my mind, like, oh, I want to do more blog stuff. I miss doing that. It's a time thing, and it was a lot easier when other people were helping with the blog, because someone would like send me a piece of content and be like, oh, that was cool, I'll put that out this week, and like, oh, I better write one for next week. And like, if the momentum's going, then I can keep going. But when it's like, oh, I had too much to do and I missed it for 3 weeks, getting back on the bike again is really hard. But if you have someone like, you know, like, I'm gonna be over tomorrow, we're going bike riding, you get back on the bike. But if it's just like, oh, well, do I start today? Well, it's kind of raining. I'll start tomorrow. Well, it's a little cold today, you know. And then pretty soon you're like, oh, my tire's a little flat. I got to buy a pump. And then like, oh, I forgot again. Oh, dang. You know, and it's been 7 months. So when other people are working on something like that, then it helps keep me invested in it. And that's one of the reasons why the podcast is so exciting is, you know, if I'm not 100% about it one day, Joel is 100% about it. And you get to play off each other. And then pretty soon, you know, even if you woke up and you go, oh, man, I don't feel good today, but you're in the midst of the show, you're having fun, and boom, you feel good. So
I want you to address this question since I'm curious too.
Oh.
So Garrett wants to see more Dean videos, like the
Yeah.
Ultimate Guide series on breeding rams and angels. I really like the videos you've done with him. Seems like a really cool dude. Is there going to be any more videos with Dean after the Wild Amazon video?
Well, I'll say this. He was pretty disappointed.
Yeah.
His family was pretty disappointed. You know, in a nutshell, one of the emails we had was, and it wasn't directed at me or anything. He just goes, man, it's pretty sad that my family spent $11,000 to take us to the Amazon, and we bought equipment so we could film, and then we shared it with everyone, and then the internet hates us. Like, I can't fault any of that. Like that literally is what happened. We turned the comments off because people thought it was very important to criticize what he did. Even though this guy has been keeping fish longer than I've been
50
alive.
years.
He has
Plus
touched more fish than I've ever touched. He has made more money probably than I've ever made off of fish. And at the end of the day, his fish did really well. I've been back. They're all doing great, you know. So it comes down to you know, some armchair warriors. That being said, he is willing to do some more stuff. In fact, he could have been on today, but he actually emailed me this weekend. He's like, hey, I've actually got some time. I could be on the live stream. But I was like, man, out of all the times for you to have time, I really have to break this fish room down. Like, I have to do it. And I know what would happen is he would have been here like an hour ago. We'd be doing the show. We'd go on for 2 or 3 hours because he would be super interesting. And then he would hang out for an hour or two afterwards because we would nerd out in the fish room, and then we wouldn't get the fish room teardown done. So it is, here's my response to him was like, look, man, I'm building a new studio. It's going to have a table. It's going to have 4 mics. It's going to have chairs. It's going to be way better suited to have you on the show. The goal is to hopefully get that done ASAP. We can have you on. That being said, there is going to be a talk. And that is that I have 0 tolerance for tearing down my guests. Like, you can tear me down, I can handle it. You can tear Dean down, he could handle it. What he couldn't handle was his daughter and his wife asking what was wrong. That's not okay. And that's what you guys forget is that when I go visit someone's house, when I go there, they're super excited because they're going, hey, look, 50,000 people have seen my fish room, and they show it to their wife and their kids and their family. And then, you know, then you have the internet crapping on them. And then their family's like, why are they crapping on you? Like, that's not okay. And so I have a 0 tolerance for that. There is not going to be a warning. You're just banned. And so much so that I have put words into the swear word filter, essentially. I am going to curate the heck out of the comment section from now on. I am going to censor you guys so hard, you'll be lucky to say hello. Now, I know that people go, you can't censor us. This is the internet. No, it's just like a store. If you're in my store, you can't talk about things that are not okay to talk about in public. Also, if you met Dean, his wife, and his daughter, you would not have said those things you were saying to him behind the anonymity of the internet. So things that are now on our blocked list, and you're going to go, well, that seems dumb. And I'll do a whole episode on why it's not. But the words you should, he should, right? Those, if you put a sentence that says, he should do this way, that will never see the light of day. All you have to do is say, I would do it this way. Because then it's not an attack on them. It's more saying like, oh, I like to do it this way. And so I realize that seems like, oh, you're just splitting hairs here. But if I'm going to make a change on the internet and try to make a safe space, that's what I think is going to have to happen is that, you know, I I try and do that all the time. I'm not going to say I'm perfect at it, but if you watch all of my videos, I try to give you only my experiences, and I try to never tell you what you should do. I try to tell you what I would do if I was in your shoes. Dwayne Kitchell, a man I respect a lot, and I thought about this a long time. We're talking hours and hours and hours and hours on my vacation. On that video, he posed a question, and I know Dwayne enough to know that he is not posing this question to be trolly or anything like that. He said, is there a way we can critique someone else's work without it being negative? And I thought about it for a really, really long time. And my answer is, I don't think you can. Unless someone's asking for it. So if I say, if I was to go, yeah, I think your hair looks better with gel in it, Jimmy. That's me critiquing you, and you didn't ask me to critique it.
Yeah.
Like, you don't feel good about that, right?
Yes.
That's like saying,
Do I look
Corey,
homeless?
you look better with a beard. Well, I'm not wearing a beard right now. So that implies that I look worse. So it's things like that they don't seem like they're harmful and stuff like that, but unwarranted advice and criticism comes negatively. So if I show you, my 20-gallon aquarium, and I've got plants, and I've got some cherry barbs and stuff like that, and you say, why didn't you go with African cichlids? It inherently applies that aquarium you've put together is not as good as an African cichlid tank. And so if we're going to try and remain open and encouraging and things like that, we have to change the way we think. And I do believe if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. And when people don't ask for advice, don't give them advice. So when you see 700 goldfish living in a bowl, and it's killing you to say, how dare you, I hope you die in a fire, how about you say nothing? Because if you say that today, they're going to go, oh man, the internet's so dumb, I hate you guys, I'm not going to listen to you. But if you say nothing, tomorrow all those goldfish might die. Yep, that's a true statement. But also tomorrow, they might go, my goldfish don't look so good. And then they say, what can I do to help them? And then you can say, oh, well, goldfish shouldn't live in a bowl. You shouldn't have 700 of them. Like, they're asking for the advice. So we really, as a society, and this is not even just in our hobby, but we need to not offer advice to people that aren't asking for advice. It's kind of one of those things, like a lot of people, like, I get paid to take this abuse. So it's different for me when people chime in on what I do. Now, it's way different when you're someone I have flown out to your house and I'm filming, and then the internet's tearing you apart. You're not getting paid for me to come in and have the internet yell at you. So it's two different things. But there's a lot of passive aggressive things. Like a lot of people have lots of advice on how I should lose weight. Except I'm not trying to lose weight. So it purely comes on deaf ears. Like a lot of people were like, oh, sweet, you're working out. That's super cool. If you stop drinking Mountain Dew and eating tacos and doing all these things, you'd lose more weight. Except no one's asked me what I'm trying to do. I'm not trying to lose weight. I'm trying to make sure my muscles are ready to trek up mountains to go in the Amazon, right? Now, you might say, well, you're going to lose weight by conditioning for that. Sure. But had I asked, what could I do to lose weight faster? And then you say, like, quit eating junk food. Oh, yeah. But I'm not asking for that. And that's the thing, is there's so many ways to offend people. And why can't we, as a society be silent when we need to be? And what most people do is they polarize things. So there's, people say, like, censorship is bad, or, what happens when you watch someone getting beat up? You want us to be silent then too? Like, you can take it to any extreme you want to, but at the same time, maybe you should be silent when someone spends $11,000 and gives up days of their life so that I can go film them with nothing to gain to show you something. That's, I get it. If you had paid $20 to watch that video and then you're super pissed, great. Sing your hearts out. But when it cost you nothing and the guy was only trying to help and he let me in there to make his job harder and you saw 45 minutes of a 5-hour filming where we cut parts out, we did all these types of things, and you don't have the full picture, that's an entirely different story. So when Dwayne Kitchell asked, is there a way to critique someone without being negative, I don't believe it is, unless they're asking to be critiqued. I think that's a true statement. And I can't think of times when it's not. You know, I really can't. I thought for a long time, like, what about, you know, you go to the doctor, you know, and if the doctor, like, because even if the doctor says, like, oh, I see here you've lost a little bit of weight, you know, they're kind of insinuating you needed to, you know, because otherwise, if you were, like, not skinny or not heavy enough, they would say, like, I see here you've lost weight. That's still negative. So, like, there's no positive way. But if you're asking the doctor, like, how's my health, doc? And then they say, oh, you've lost a little bit of weight, depending if you needed to lose weight or you needed to gain weight, that would mean something. So that's my own personal thing, and I'm going to be working on that a lot more. There's going to be, you know, certain words that aren't allowed, and don't worry, I'll post them all. You guys will know, and you're going to be like, what? Why isn't my thing showing up? And it's like, well, instead of saying, you know, he should have put hair gel in his hair this morning, it just will never show up, you know? And you can say a statement, I like to put hair gel in my hair. Sure, you can say that. That will get through, because at least then that's a true statement. But telling others what to do when they don't want to be told is a very different thing. So that is my rant on the internet. And will Dean be willing to come back? Yeah, I would suspect, though, that other people, I got messages from other people, and they were asking, like, why is the internet going, you know, full angry mode on this guy? You know, and I'm like, because it's the internet, you know, and yeah, so. Susan SLC Aquatics, Corey, I appreciate the attention and energy you give. Well, thank you. And I will be on Susan's channel eventually. We're going to schedule it later this week.
Okay.
I'm going to be on one of her live streams, but we haven't scheduled it yet, so I don't know when.
I agree with you. It's not a censorship. It's a code of behavior.
Right. It's the same
I
thing.
like
Like, you can come into my store, and you could cry all you wanted to the cops that I won't let you say bad words, or I won't let you come in with, you know, a dog, or I mean, I do let dogs in, but, you know, like, it's a place of business, and YouTube, you know, because YouTube is a business, by the way. It's up. You can choose whether you wanted to shop in my store. So if I say you can't say racial slurs, you have a choice to never shop at my store because you love to say racial slurs. The same reason, if you go, well, I love to say he should do this, then you can choose not to be on the channel. Like, it's a free thing. Like, now it's a different story if I had said, here's this place where you can do anything you want. You know, like, let's say I'm renting you an apartment and I've laid out the rules and you give me $1,000. I can't then come in and go, hey, you can't say racial slurs. But on the lease agreement, it might say you can't scream racial slurs out your window and affect the neighbors. But in the, you know, privacy of your own home, you're allowed to do that kind of stuff. Now, I am not in favor of racial slurs. I think that's pretty apparent. But I'm using that as an example because when I use those crazy, weird tangent examples, people go, well, I wasn't doing that. It's like, you don't get it. It's a bigger mind here. And that's the thing. So basically, if we're not being kind and respectful and making it a better conversation for everyone involved, then we're doing something wrong. That's what it comes down to. And I will do everything in my power. I will either A, go out of business defending the people that, like Dean, who want to help the hobby. I will go out of business defending them. And if I have 0 subscribers left, that's fine. Or we will make this a better place and a better hobby. That's what my goal. So if you go, hey, I'm getting silenced, I'm getting censored, this is BS. Know that you're probably falling into that other line of, like, you're not helping. So that's, you know, and there's a team of moderators here. It's not just like Corey doesn't like me. There is a team of people that evaluate everything that gets written on this channel. So, all right. We're at 1 hour and 15 minutes. I think that's a good rant to leave off on. And, yeah.
All right. Say your ending lines, and then we'll get out of here and start working on the fish tanks.
All right, guys. I'm going to drink some water. I'm going to decompress for a second. And then we're going to break down the fish room and have some fun. And, well, I don't know about how much fun. We're going to get wet and we're going to get dirty. You got to put a lot of substrate away. And we will be back. The next thing live will be Tuesday, Real Fish Talk on the Real Fish Talk channel. Join us. And, we'll talk about something else. I don't know what we're talking about yet. But me and Joel can debate about almost anything. So, good time. We'll fill up your ear holes for an hour at least. And unboxing next week, all kinds of stuff. We're getting to it. We just got to get to work now. So thanks for hanging out, guys. I do appreciate it. It's not all doom and gloom. We're here to make it better. But sometimes things got to be said. And I've said them. And now we can move on and have some fun. So thanks, guys. Have a great weekend. And we'll see you live again on Tuesday, 10 a.m.